What's going on, H2O Army? Jethro from H2O Plants, and today we're taking a look at the basement. Stay tuned. I want to run a desk pretty much from like this wall slants, as you can see. So there's like a slant. So I was thinking about making a custom built, just out of some plywood and 2x4s, custom built. Alrighty, so let's get into this tour here. When you first come down the steps, you see all these tanks right here. And I guess let's start off with what we have in front of us. This is Lucky's tank. It's a bit of a mess right now because when we set up this new stand here for his new tank to fit also the 75 under it, we had to kind of take everything out of this tank, so it's a bit of a mess. We're going to be upgrading his tank to a 75 in the future, so it'll be a 75 on top, 75 on the bottom, and it will look phenomenal once we get to that. A new project over here, and yes, the wires are a mess, I know, but this is a new little project here. We actually have a space for one more tank down here, but these are just some small holding tanks for certain types of plants. We have a little beta in here. And then we also have cherry shrimp in this tank. And for the most part, the rest of it is just plant grow outs and holding tanks and whatnot there. To the opposite side of that, we have the Dragonstone awesome tank, which we just trimmed today. So it's looking a little bit of a mess because everything's chopped up, hacked down really well, and I gotta go back in there and clean it up a bit, but we just got done doing some orders. So here's another new holding tank, a 75 filled with a bunch of nice plants. You can see in there possibly some nice red. There is some algae on the glass of these tanks. We clean these usually every Thursday, and I'm recording this Sunday, so we haven't cleaned these in a couple days. So they do have algae. Like this has a ton of algae on the glass. I could have cleaned it ahead of time, but I figured I'd show you guys kind of what we do. We have to do what we can in the allotted time, and right now we're kind of all out of time to do maintenance. So that's that tank. This is just a bunch of stems, some high-tech stuff growing out in here. Really is due for me to go in and clean that out. I actually haven't cleaned that probably in like 3 weeks, so long overdue. Here we have our 55, which is going to be getting removed soon. This tank is actually going to be replaced with a different 4-foot long tank, and everything that's in this tank is going right into this tank. Currently we have it set up and cycling. The reason being is we do have shrimp in this tank that are super sensitive to ammonia levels, and I don't want to put them in this tank without this tank being fully ready to go. And you may say, well, if you just stick your filter on there, it may cycle. The reason why it won't work in that aspect is because there's so much aqua soil that this stuff is going to release a ton of ammonia, and the ammonia is going to be really high in here. So I have to give it at least 2 to 3 weeks before we start transferring things over. So right now we just did the hardscape. I'm not certain yet if it's going to be 100% this, but we'll see. So stay tuned for the planting in the future. Underneath it will be another 75-gallon once I get it. Obviously 75-gallon tanks are expensive, and right now we're just using it for storage. We were using these bins for storage of plants. We're no longer using that anymore. Next up is our kind of supply shelf here. We have tons of things like driftwood. We have our root tabs, which here are them not in the packs, but where the packs of root tabs are. We have bottles of Vital all around, some more down here, tons of them. We also have On this side, more Vital. In those boxes, just tons and tons of our liquid fertilizer and tons of driftwood. You can see we have all different types. This is Mopani, I think, and this is Spiderwood. And then we also have like our testing supplies, plant anchors. This is like catappa logs. These are really cool, and other stuff for shrimp. We got moss items. So we have a bunch of stuff kind of laid out so we know where everything is. I'll give you a brief look. This is our CO2 system. This controls every tank there, and then this is the big open room here. So let's start on this rack. Now, if you were not a long-time subscriber, you would have not seen us building this, but we have live streams of us building this stuff for hours, so it's taken a long time. And right now things do look a little kind of empty because we just got done packing a ton of orders, as you can see right there. So some holes are empty, but we recently switched over to doing potted plants because potted plants seem to be better overall, just when it comes to shipping and when it comes to just allowing us to really keep things organized and in a easy manner. The only thing we're not doing potted plants with is stems, just because it doesn't matter either way, really, we found. So stem plants for the most part aren't potted, with the exception of a couple different plants we have. Down here we have some crypts and stuff like that, and this is a bunch of water sprite that came in way too tall, so it's all over the place. Here's another tank with just a bunch more potted plants, and like I said, we do have to go in and clean these, which will be on Thursday, so things are a bit messy because, you know, it's Sunday when I'm recording this. So this is kind of a grow out tank here for some stems. So this is like mermaid weed. We also have a ton of boosts that I'm hoarding right here. Just tons and tons of boosts that I've been growing underwater that is fully submersed. Then here's just some more potted plants. We got some nice Anubis in there. I should note that these aquariums don't have a filter. Essentially, these 8 anyway. The water gets pumped up from the pond pump that's in there, goes through this little CO2 reactor here, gets piped up and out the top, recirculates, goes to the overflow, comes down, and that is the cycle. Now there is some lava rock in the overflow that acts as biological filtration, but overall this is what we have. Oh, and then we have some mechanical filtration. We have the nets. I don't know if you can see them, those nets there. So those are 200 micron socks that kind of just help to keep the water as clear as possible. Of course, you know, this is a messy business because plants come in and out like crazy, so just thought I'd mention that. Then over here is the work area, or the desk area, and you guys have already seen our video on our shell dwellers, which we have tons and tons of babies right now in here. They're definitely going to be needing a bigger tank here very, very soon, so we're going to be working on getting them that. This is actually a neat little kind of terrarium almost that Serpa Design gave me. It holds the plants and actually grows them in a humidified environment, so it works out really good. And really, I don't put any light on them, they just get ambient light, which works out great. Then we have our shrimp tank here, our blue ball tank, which I just saw. I turned on the lights right before I started recording and I saw a bunch of buried mama shrimp. So we're going to be having tons more babies. Right now we have a lot of them going on. Then over here is our carnivorous pond setup. And you can see here tons of things are just growing very nicely. We have tons of these little guys. And the UG is actually starting to grow rather well also. It hasn't completely filled in, and I've been keeping the water level low just so that way it grows in quicker, but we'll see. Next up, just 2 pieces of artwork from a fan that came from fan Nicole, and I think the guy's name was Gary that did this, if I remember correctly. He also did something else for me that was for Margaret, my fiance. Over here, just packing supplies. We have some empty tanks for some pictures and stuff. Printer area, artwork. This is our workstation. This used to be my gaming computer, but it is now just the business's computer. I have my laptop for things. When I used to game, I used to use this computer, but we have this cool beta poster from Coco's Aquarium, and then this is just stuff. More supplies here. This is like our folder that we really stopped using because we got away from lots and lots of paperwork. Oh, this fell on the floor. So we should also talk about this desk, or not this desk, but this table. This table, both this table and this desk here was built from my friend Clark, handmade, kind of specifically for this space. And you can see here it like perfectly fits in here. Underneath, I guess, the desk, though, I should mention we have like ice packs and that freezer there. That's all more supplies underneath, and we're still working on getting it a bit more organized. This is actually the most organized we've ever been, so things are looking up. So under the table we have more supplies here. We have like rock wool and plastic pots for all the plants. We have the plant holders. We have more supplies here. We have some hand towels. Can never have too many of those. Got more wood. This is just overspill. Garbage bags. We have a dehumidifier, although I don't run that yet because my AC unit seems to take care of it, but I have to run a separate circuit for that. So we'll be getting to it, but overall the humidity stays less than like 65% roughly, so it should be fine. Here's another high-tech grow-out tank. We have a bunch of rare stuff in here. So we have these Nephotes, Taiwan, some Rotala, Singapore and Colorado. So back there is the Rotala. This is another type of Rotala that I recently got. Pearlweed. We got our Crypt Flamingos, which still haven't really done much. Some Hydro Brown, Stargrass. So a bunch of cool stuff in here. We move on over to this tank. And this is just another holding tank here. We have so these are pots of dwarf sedge that we've had for a while that really melted back but have came back a bit. And then we have a bunch of dwarf sedge back there. New pots. We have some pennywort, as you can see, tons of that. Contortion bell in there, adjusting. We have a new angelfish that I have to do a video on. He came to us battered up. And this tank, actually, we had some issues because the CO2 really like started fluctuating around, so it screwed up a lot of tanks. So this tank has a bunch of algae now on some of the Anubis leaves, so I actually have to get in here and clean them up or get rid of those leaves just because they're not going to really do much. And yeah, so this tank is looking very sparse just because we have to order a bunch of plants this week, so we order a bunch of stuff. Down here is just more storage of stuff. The filters for these aquariums, and these are like our tissue culture slash just our like kind of, these are dwarf baby tears here, and you can see, and this is probably baby tears, yeah, regular baby tears. So these often do better in those than they do if we put them in our aquariums, so it works out. Then we have a packing station here, and then we have more stuff for more packing stations. Overall we could have 3 packers at one time if we need to. And yeah, this table gets completely used. It works for this space overall. I really like it, and it works phenomenally. But yeah, this is really the whole domain down here. You guys have seen it all now. Overall, guys, though, let me know down in the comments below, what do you think of the space? Would you do anything different? Is it really cool to see the transition from how it used to look to what it does now? And let me know if you're working on a fish room, or it's always a work in progress. We still have way more to go. This is eventually getting moved, and then we'll have another row of tanks here, same way we have over here, be over here. And then we also have the 75s. The 4 more 75 tanks that we have to put here. Then we have the new tank that's going to go right here along this wall. These are going to get removed, so a lot has to be done, but figured I'd give you the overview of where we are. Only about 1.5 years into it. It's actually only been really a year because we haven't done much in the last like 4 to 5 months. So I would say that it's about a year's worth of work here. But if you're new here, hit the round icon to subscribe. If you want to check out on how we set up this Shell Dweller tank, which is one of my favorite tanks, you can click to the right. And if you want to see how we set up the Blue Bolt tank, you can click to the left. And I'll see you guys on the next one.